Hey guys, I am AEW's Harley Cameron, and I am on Casual Conversations with the Classic.
And we are back for another casual conversation with the Classic, guys. I got a very special guest with me, the very talented, the gorgeous Harley Cameron. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Wonderful. I just figured out how to use this tripod and lights that I got off Amazon, so I'm very excited.
I'm glad you found a travel light to go with you places to get stuff done. That shows your commitment to get things done.
Yes, initiative
for sure. There is a ton I want to know about you. I'm fascinated by it because we've known each other for a minute now. We got introduced, I think, from Mariah when you guys were out here for the Calgary Stampede, and then you guys want to do some stuff later. But I've been seeing you for years now, and I've had so many questions. So,
ask away.
So first things first, I'm curious, right? So you're from Australia, correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
What was the purpose of you coming over here to the United States?
I
feel like you do so many different things.
Yeah.
And initially I didn't see you for wrestling. Initially I saw you for music stuff.
Yeah,
so
I was a musician.
Break it down.
Well, I was a musician most of my life. I've lived a million lives, but the main predominant career that I had for the majority of my life was in music and theater and that kind of stuff. And I think like everyone who's in entertainment is, you kind of want to go to America and it's the American dream and everything's possible kind of thing. And when I first moved over here, it was just kind of like, to make it in America and see what was going to happen. And I just had no idea what the journey I'd embark on, but here we are now.
100%. Was music your first love and your first passion?
I think for the most part, yeah, definitely. I've been singing since I was about maybe like 13 or so in like bars and with bands and all that jazz. And I'm still immersed in like music production and everything in that respect. And then it's funny, so I started doing music production for some like wrestlers for their theme music, and I guess that's like the transition into the interest of the world where it began, I guess, more than anything. I've done a few theme songs and just did stuff like that. And then, I guess I ended up here. When I came here, though, I was in Orlando, which, as you know, is like a heavy hub for wrestling.
Yeah.
And I used to be a fitness competitor, and I used to do that back in another lifestyle. So I've always been in like athletics and entertainment. And then I came over here and was like just so immersed in wrestling and fell in love with watching it again. And all my friends were wrestlers and everything. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And people were like, what did you think about doing this? This is like right up your alley. And it's funny, though, because you don't, as a, a country girl from Australia, you're living in this tiny town growing up, you don't ever think that it's a possibility to have this as a career when you're over there. So coming over here and then being like, oh, wow, I could actually make this happen and life just changed. It's just crazy how everything transpired,
It's insane. It's an insane journey. And that's true because it's like everybody. When I'm watching you on social media, I'm like, oh, she knows everybody. So let's first things first, before we get into the wrestling part of it all, what was some of your favorite music growing up? Who were some of your favorite musicians? Like, who inspired you?
Oh gosh, like growing up, I was I liked like 80s rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I was obsessed with Red Hot Chili Peppers, Motley Crue, Fall Out Boy, Paramore. Yeah. I have a mixture. I never was like one person, like I never picked one genre or an individual. I just very much love music in general, and but I had a passion for bands. I was in like high school bands, and like I definitely was like a emo kid in high school. Like loved.
No way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. yeah, definitely. Like I went through a phase, but I definitely am still very much in love with music from like the 70s and the 80s as opposed to stuff that's around today. I'm an old school kind of gal with music, I think.
I feel that. I feel like when it comes to new music, I hear it when like I go to certain places, I hang with like certain friends, but for the most part, it's like I'm stuck with the stuff I grew up listening to or enjoyed before. Same here, never stuck to a genre. I listen to everything, different languages and all that too, so I completely understand. But you being an emo, do you ever start a band? Like, was it always like solo career, or were you like, no, I'm gonna have a band?
Oh no, I've got bands in America now that I have like for weddings and corporate and stuff. But in Australia, when I was 13, my first high school band was me and three of my best mates, and we were called Slippery When Wet. I don't know why. 13-year-old us thought that was really cool. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's a good name. It's a good name for a band. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Oh my gosh, I went to festivals more than anything. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't grow up with a lot of money or anything like that when I was young, so I definitely wasn't like able. I didn't go see shows or anything until I was an adult.
yeah,
And then we had like shows like I think the first one I went to was called the Big Day Out in Australia, where we like lots of bands played. I remember seeing like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Muse and things like that. I went to a festival here in America though called When We Were Young, and that was like my little emo kid dream come true because I got to see just like all the bands from when I was like really little. I got to see Paramore for the first time in my life, which was awesome.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, I remember when the flyer came out for that when we were young, like
yeah,
that event and all the band names on it. It was like all the bands I've been listening to during that certain period of time. I think when we were in, teenagers and like
yeah,
kind of, anti-establishment in our beliefs and values. So I
yeah,
completely
for sure.
understand. So like that's true because one of the first things I remember seeing you on, like one of the very first things that I remember seeing you part of was like this music video that you made with Scarlett and Shotzi.
Yes,
What was
they,
that? What was? Because I remember that specifically. I should have looked it up really quickly before I got this, but I was running
yeah.
around. But what was that? Because that was one of the first things I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh, she like those two wrestlers, and then it was you, and I'm like, who is she? Like,
So I think the first one I've done two with them now.
yeah,
The first one I ever did was just so they're both my very, very good friends. And that was just like a passion project kind of thing. We were just like,
yeah,
let's write a song together and record it and do like little passion project with music. So we just did that for fun, more than anything. And both the girls have amazing voices. So both very, very talented. So we literally just did that for fun. And then we were like, oh, this is great. We ended up doing another one down the line later through wrestling, obviously. But that literally there was no intention behind it. It was just kind of like three best friends who were like, let's all sing together and do something cool.
yeah. It was cool and it was surprising because like for most of us, like I didn't know they could sing. Like
Yeah, I know, right?
it was cool to be like, oh, they can sing. That's something interesting. Hey yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I had to re-up on my NWO shirts on 500 Level, the comfortable material if you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. They got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 Level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts. You cannot find a WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on the website. Hit me up. 500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing. And then, how did you get into wrestling?
Yeah, so literally everyone in Orlando at the time that I was friends with, was kind of in NXT at the time. And I would, go watch, or I'd go to the coconut shows and, be watching it and just like living in it and found that love for it again that I didn't, I kind of guess as I grew up in Australia, I went from, being a wrestling fan as a child, and then you kind of grow up and life changes, and I didn't, follow it as much, and then came over here and became really immersed in it. But I was also in Australia at a different time of life, a journalist, and I initially was like, well, if I was very passionate about the industry again, and I thought initially I was like, oh, maybe I could do the backstage stuff. And then, long story short, is I had an opportunity to kind of go do that, and I saw the in-ring stuff, and I kind of gave it a go and thought, oh shit, like I think I really want to do this. Like I think I want to be up in the action and everything. So I ended up at Flatbacks, which is the wrestling school in Orlando, and just started training, and yeah, just gave it my all. Really, I was like, well, I got to give it a go and just see how it works out.
What was your initial reaction when you first got on the ring, around the ropes? Like, was it what you expected, or were you like, oh, this is?
Yeah. So it's so funny because I was very heavy into sports my whole life, and I was a fitness competitor for years in Australia. Like used to like do the prep and the shows and rada. And I remember my first week at wrestling school and just thinking, what am I was like, I can't do this. Like this is insane. I was the worst student. The Breeze and Spears, who were my coaches, and Billy Gunn actually. They'll tell you my first week, gosh, I look back to it and I'm like so surprised that I didn't give up, because I was like, this is so much harder than it looks. And I don't think people understand just the level of athleticism that is actually there, because I didn't, and I was in other aspects, an athlete in different ways. And I was struggling. Oh my gosh. Everything terrified me at the start. Like the cardio was anything like above what I'd imagined it to be. So it was definitely a lot more challenging than I had ever imagined. And then it just made me respect everyone that does it even more. So it was a big wake up call, and I think a lot of people don't realize what goes into it and what's required to have it. So it's a different level of respect when you do it. I'll say that.
No, definitely. I guess the other thing we didn't touch on when we're talking about music, though, is you also made that theme song for the Iconics during their Impact run, right?
Yes. I wrote their song, The Inspiration. Yeah, Cass
the Inspiration at that point. Yeah. Was that kind of another way that you kind of got more close to the business and was like, oh, like this is cool? Because you said like part of it was creating theme songs and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah, so by that point, I was obviously at Flatbacks, and I met the girls and became good friends with them, and fellow Aussies gravitating to one another. But they asked me to write their theme music for when they made their return, and I got to go, perform that when they debuted in Vegas, which was very cool. And at that point, I was still in wrestling school, but I hadn't actually, gosh, had I even had a match by that point? I think I'd had maybe, God, I don't even know if I had a match. I think I'd had one match, or I just finished wrestling school when that happened. So I was still very, very new. But it's definitely like one of those things where it was just a fantastic experience, and slowly started meeting people and networking and so on.
How many matches do you have before you got into AEW?
So it's crazy. My second match of my life was on AEW Dark.
Oh wow, what match was that? Who was that against? Do you remember?
Willow Nightingale.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's so crazy when I think about the fact that I got given that opportunity, and I'm so thankful for it. But that was my second match ever, and she was fantastic, and obviously like got me through the whole thing. But everything for me escalated very quickly and happened very, very quickly. I haven't been doing this long. I think I've been doing this just over 2 years now since I first got in the ring. So
which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be where I am, how quickly it's happened. I'm very, very thankful, and it's a rare thing for things to happen this quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do. We're out here conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt, remember to conquer it. Do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below. Was QTV like the first big opportunity that got you like officially with AEW?
Yes. So I just remember, first of all, for the longest time, I couldn't actually do much in this country because I didn't have a green card. So I just was kind of doing whatever I could for free, for the most part. my first ever match was at WrestlePro. So big thanks to Pat and Kevin because they gave me my first ever shot, and that was actually against Scarlett. And I remember it was my first match was with them, and my second match was AEW Dark, and then I basically just kept training, and I couldn't really take bookings because I was like in that process of my visa and whatnot, and then I just heard that there was this opportunity and they're looking for somebody in particular for, you know, the story and angle that was happening with AEW at the time. And I believe it was Billy Gunn and Spears who potentially put my name in there and kind of like, hey, we have a girl that we think might fit the role. So then I got bought in to do another dark and, you know, did the match and got asked to do some promos and everything like that. And yeah, I guess they gave me the biggest opportunity of my life, and I am where I am now, and massively because of QT. QT really, you know, like believed in me and like thought I was the right person for it. And if it wasn't for him specifically too, I would not be where I am today. And I owe where I am today definitely to him giving me that opportunity. So I'm very thankful for him.
What is something that you really learned during that QTV period of your AEW run so far? Like, what's one thing you take from that you're like, oh, that's something I learned or picked up on?
Oh, got everything. Like it was wild. I got thrown in the deep end straight away. I like just all of a sudden, like I had you know, an unfair, freakishly lucky opportunity given to me, and I was learning like TV as I was going, and I was just so lucky to be, you know, with people like QT who would just show me the ropes as I was there. At the time, Spears, who was my coach, was also in the company, so it was wild because, you know, I was in training every week, and then all of a sudden I was like, Spears, we're colleagues now, yeah.
I think one thing about you that's actually really cool is that the fact that I think it helped you is that we've talked a few times and we got to like know each other through social media. And I'm like, oh, she seems super cool, and you got a very outgoing personality, and I think that helps because it's like when they needed someone for something like QTV, they're like, oh no, like she's got a bunch of personality, like she's funny, like she's like etc. Right?
You.
So I think that must have helped big time. How cool was it, right? Because you never know how fans are going to react. But I think one of the most entertaining segments that we had that was that one time you rapped at Anthony Bowens about him being into you, and then he was like, "I'm gay," and then the fans started chanting, "He is gay." That's a crazy moment. We don't get a lot of those in wrestling. What did you feel in that moment?
It was so nice. It was just so nice to be part of that. Like it was a very special and important thing to happen, I think, in general. Like again, just given a great opportunity to do something so fantastic and such a cool and fun storyline with the boys, and they were all just so wonderful, and the energy and was just electric that night in the arena, and it was just so nice to be a part of something like that because yeah, it was very cool, and he to this day says it's one of his favorite moments of his life in wrestling too, so that it means a lot that I got to be a part of that.
I asked my audience like what I should ask you, and that came up like 2 or 3 times. Like, ask how she felt about that segment, ask about that, because I think it was just a positive, representation of that community, because that doesn't happen often in wrestling like that. And it was like everybody was embracing it. It was a cool, great moment.
Yes,
and you're a part of that, so that's super cool. Getting together with Saraya, joining the Outcasts. How did that come about?
So it's. Gosh, it's so funny just how I keep thinking like, oh my gosh, the time's flying. Because
I was like, all happened so quickly.
I know, it seems like yesterday. We've nearly been together a year now. My love. Oh, so well, QTV obviously came to a close, and I remember like instantly just thinking, okay, well, like I still by this point hadn't wrestled, and I've been lucky enough to be given the opportunity to show my personality and my work ethic to a degree, but I just thought to myself, well, what can I do to keep the like ball spinning? And decided to like film some vignettes at home in my own time and just pitch some things and some ideas on like a character transition. And I really like Saraya and Ruby. Like first off, I've been people like I looked up to and like wanted me to get into wrestling. So I just remember the conversation happening. A few people kind of had ideas thrown here and there, but we kind of all just discussed one day maybe I could join them, and they had some storyline ideas that needed someone kind of bought into that. And I don't think that I expected it to be like to stick like this, because I think the initial plan was to add me in, but I don't know if I was going to be solidly in the group. And then we just had fantastic chemistry together, and everyone seemed to like it, and it just stuck. And it's just very, very cool now, because I love Saraya so much, and she's so wonderful, and I'm learning so much working with her. You know, she's just one of the greats. And I pinch myself that I'm literally by her side, because I just used to watch her and be inspired, and I'm like, holy shit, now I'm next to you. It's very cool.
And you guys complement each other quite a bit, right? Because she's kind of like, we'll play into that you're crazy, but you're not
Yeah.
crazy, and you'll say some out of pocket stuff. She's like, oh no, she's okay. It works. I was gonna ask you what you've learned from Saraya, but like you said, you've been learning a lot, just being able to work with her, which is super cool. Something that you've done a handful of times, and tell me if I'm wrong, because once again, this came from the audience. But they're like, ask her about all the Simpsons references. Are you a big Simpsons fan?
There's only been one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The one with the knife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. There was one. But I mean, I think everyone was like the cliche of, we've got an Aussie here. Let's add in some nostalgia but the people loved it. I've actually had people bring me at meet and greets and stuff. People bring me spoons sometimes.
Isn't that so interesting how something so small can blow up so big? Yeah. Because that's like a thing. Everyone, the Simpsons fandom got really excited to like ask her about that. I'm like, oh, it's crazy. Well, like I mentioned very early on, we got introduced to each other through Mariah, who's also now at AEW. Great girl, known her for a really long time. How was it working with each other now? Because you guys, did you guys first meet at that Calgary Stampede event?
So it's funny because not a lot of people know this, but we just have the craziest story. We met at an autograph signing. Gosh, for the life of me, I can't remember the event. I'll say the wrong one, so I won't say it.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't say.
But I remember just, I'm a chatter. I like to meet friends and be like, hello. So I remember being at this signing, and I was like, oh, who's this hot blonde girl? I'm going to say hello. And I remember going over and introducing myself. I mean, hello, and I was super duper new, and she at this point hadn't been to Japan or anything yet, so both of us were kind of just starting out, in a way, and we hit it off, and we stayed in touch, got each other's numbers, and we became really good friends, and then we ended up doing a modeling thing in Calgary together, and then we really bonded there. And it's funny because on that trip we kind of sat down and talked about our goals and dreams, and we at this point, I don't think either of us had the visas to work in America yet. And we were both just like, oh, imagine if just one day we both have our visas and we get to work in America, and maybe we'll wrestle in the same company one day. And it's just been so crazy seeing our journeys in different ways. And we ended up together, and, she's my best friend in the world. And, we on a weekly basis sit there and are like, holy crap, everything we said,
you're doing it.
Yeah, it's so wild. It's such a nice thing to go to work with your best friend, and also just to see that we both just busted our ass and got here, and we got here in different ways completely and had completely different journeys. But it's really cool because who gets to say the dream that you spoke about with somebody came true, and then now you're traveling America together and you're working and living the dream, and we literally live next door to each other. So it's
insane.
It's surreal. It's very cool. I love her very much. I'm very proud of her.
Now you guys got to wrestle each other on national TV. I remember the point where you guys were trying to plan a tag team. I believe you guys had a tag team name before you guys even got to AEW. There was a whole situation. Yes. I remember.
Yeah, and it's we were meant to tag together, and then we had some issues with the person, the promoter booking it. I won't mention the name.
Yeah.
Also,
I remember.
Fun fact: Mariah ended up being my first match in AEW.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, so it's I remember before our match, I was like, oh my god, look, it's my first match, and you're popping my cherry.
Oh yeah, that is true. That was your first match. The whole hot girl graphs, the whole beginning.
Yes.
The whole beginning. So listen, I could talk to you for another hour if we could. I had a ton of questions, but I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate being on here. I like to always ask this question last just to wrap things up, and that really quickly is: do you feel at this very moment, as an entertainer, because in my mind you're an entertainer just overall, whether it's singing, acting, wrestling, you just have this entertainer thing about you, do you feel like you've made your younger self proud?
Oh, absolutely. Gosh, I get lame and emotional on a weekly basis. Very very, very proud. came from a little tiny country town, and I had no idea I'd end up here. So I'm proud, and my family's proud of me, and it makes them, you know, being over here and away from my family and like made all the risk really worth it. So little me's like, yes,
Yeah.
good work.
No, for sure, for sure. I'm a great example of someone that bet on themselves, came out here, took some risks, tried different things, and found something and made it happen. You did that whole American dream thing you talked about at the beginning of, like, you know, people say America, the land of opportunities.
Yes.
You found it, you did it.
Yes,
and I think that's something to be
real, people.
Yeah, I think that's something to be very proud of. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you making the time to do this. I appreciate you getting your setup ready and your light that you ordered from Amazon.
Right? Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to speak to you.
No, you as well. And hopefully we can do this again down the road. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I got the equipment now, so
yeah. Thank you so much. Everyone go follow Harley Cameron on social media. All of her information will be below. Tune in and see her on AEW television with Saraya, beating up people, hot girl grabs, all the fun stuff. Exactly. And also, if she keeps singing and she puts out some more music, go check that out too, because I'm sure she will. Very talented. Right. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys all later.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.